The Galactic Council had existed for 12,000 years before humans left their small blue planet. In all that time, hundreds of species had joined the great family of. They had built empires. They had fought wars. They had made peace. The elder races believed they understood everything about how the universe worked. Then the humans came, and everything changed. Kelvara was young for his species. They were insect-like creatures, tall and thin, with hard shells covering their bodies and large eyes that could see in many directions at once. Kelvara had just finished his training as a junior diplomat, and today was his first real assignment. He would shadow the human delegation and learn about this new species that everyone was talking about. He stood in the great marble halls of Station Nexus Prime, the central meeting place for all the species of the galaxy. Ships from 1,000 worlds docked here every day. Creatures of every shape and size walked these halls. Kelvara had seen many strange things in his short life, but he had never met a human before. The human ambassador was named Sung. He was not what Kelvara expected. The human was shorter than Kelvara, with soft skin that had no armor or scales. His body looked weak and fragile. Silver hair covered his head, and deep lines marked his face. By standards, he looked like easy prey. Kelvara approached with confidence. His elders had told him that humans were new to space travel. They were curious but naive. They had much to learn about how things worked in the galaxy. "Ambassador Sung," Kelvara said, clicking his mandibles in a formal greeting. "I am Kelvara of the Collective. I have been assigned to observe your delegation during the council sessions." The human turned to face him. His eyes were small compared to Kelvara's, but there was something in them that made the young uncomfortable. It was like looking into deep water and not knowing what lived beneath the surface. "Welcome, Kelvara," Sung said. His voice was calm and measured. "We are happy to have observers. Learning about each other is how we build understanding." Kelvara relaxed a little. The human seemed friendly enough. Perhaps his elders were right. Perhaps humans really were just simple newcomers who needed guidance. "My teachers say it is a great honor to study humans up close," Kelvara said. "They say your species is interesting, new to space, still learning the ways of the galaxy." "Is that what they say?" Sung asked. Something flickered in his eyes, but Kelvara did not understand what it meant. "Yes, they say you have much to learn about how things work out here, that you are perhaps too trusting, too soft." For a moment, something changed in the human's face. The corners of his mouth turned upward. His eyes crinkled at the edges. It was a small expression, but it transformed his entire appearance. Kelvara had studied human expressions before coming here. This was called a smile. It was supposed to mean happiness or friendliness. But something about this smile made Kelvara take a step backward. He did not know why. It was instinct, deep and old, buried somewhere in his genes. The same instinct that had kept his ancestors alive when predators hunted them in the swamps of there. "Interesting," Sung said softly. "And did your teachers tell you nothing else about us?" Before Kelvara could answer, something moved between them. It was one of the oldest species in the known galaxy. They looked like floating jellyfish, with long, glowing tentacles that pulsed with light. They had been traveling the stars when most other species were still living in caves. This was clearly very old. Her lights were dim and slow, and she moved with the careful patience of extreme age. But when she saw Kelvara standing near the human, she moved faster than he had ever seen a move. Her tentacles wrapped gently around Kelvara's arm and began pulling him away. The lights along her body flickered rapidly, and his translator device turned the patterns into words. "Young one, come with me now." Kelvara was confused. "Elder, I am supposed to observe the human delegation. My assignment." "Your assignment can wait. Come now." There was something in her voice that stopped his arguments. It was fear, real fear. Kelvara had never heard a sound afraid before. They were the oldest species. They had seen everything. What could possibly frighten them? As the elder pulled him away, Kelvara looked back at the human ambassador. Sung was still standing there, watching them go. The smile was gone from his face, replaced by a thoughtful expression that was somehow even more unsettling. When they were far enough away that the human could not hear them, the elder stopped. Her lights pulsed slowly, and when she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Young, your elders have failed you. They did not teach you the most important thing." "What thing?" Kelvara asked. "What are you talking about?" The human seemed friendly enough. He was smiling. The lights flickered in a pattern that Kelvara's translator could not fully understand. It was something between sadness and horror. "That is exactly the problem, young one. The smile. You do not understand what it means. It means happiness, friendliness, all the research says." "Your research is incomplete." The elder's tentacles tightened around his arm. "There is a law, the oldest law of starfaring explorers. It has been passed down for 10,000 years since the first species began to travel between the stars. Most young ones think it is superstition, a joke. They learn the truth too late." Kelvara felt cold despite the warm air of the station. "What law?" The elder looked at him with ancient eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "If a human smiles," she said slowly, making sure he understood every word, "run." Kelvara wanted to laugh. It sounded ridiculous. Humans were small and soft and new to space. What could possibly be dangerous about a smile? But the elder was not laughing. Her lights pulsed with deadly seriousness. "You do not believe me now," she said. "That is normal, but remember my words, young one. Remember them when you see what humans are truly capable of. And when that day comes, when you see a human smile in the face of danger, do not ask questions. Do not wait to understand, just run." She released his arm and floated away, leaving Kelvara standing alone in the great hall, wondering what terrible secret he had stumbled upon. He did not have to wait long to find out. Lieutenant Hana had been running patrol routes along the row corridor for 3 years. It was boring work most of the time. Her ship, the Soul's Dawn, was a small patrol vessel with a crew of 30. They checked cargo ships, helped lost travelers, and made sure pirates stayed away from the trade routes. Hana was 28 years old, young for a ship commander but experienced enough to have earned respect. She was not tall, and she did not look particularly strong. New crew members often wondered how such a small woman had risen so fast through the ranks. They learned the answer soon enough. The distress call came in the middle of the night cycle. "Lieutenant," her communications officer Ho said urgently, "we are receiving an emergency signal, a cargo ship called Bright Passage. They are under attack." Hana was already moving toward the command center. "Who is attacking them?" "Raiders, ma'am, 3 ships." Hana felt her stomach tighten. There were reptilian creatures, cold-blooded in more ways than one. They were known throughout the galaxy for their cruelty. They captured ships and sold the passengers into slavery. They showed no mercy to anyone. "How many people on the ship?" Ho checked his console. 47 civilians, Lieutenant, including 12 young ones, children. Hana reached the command center and looked at the tactical display. The situation was bad. They had 3 military-grade warships. The Soul's Dawn was a patrol vessel, not built for heavy combat. By any reasonable calculation, they were 3 to 1. "Can we call for backup?" she asked. "The nearest friendly ship is 4 hours away," Ho replied. "They will not last that long." Hana studied the display for a long moment. 47 civilians, 12 children, 4 hours away from any help. 3 enemy ships with more firepower than her small patrol vessel could ever hope to match. She made her decision. Set a course to intercept, maximum speed. Her crew exchanged worried looks, but nobody argued. They had served with Hana long enough to know that arguing was pointless once she made up her mind. When the Soul's Dawn arrived at the scene, the Bright Passage was surrounded. The ship was badly damaged, its engines dead, its shields failing. The raiders circled it like predators waiting to finish off wounded prey. "Open a channel to the ships," Hana ordered. The main screen flickered and the face of the commander appeared. He was big, even by standards, with scars covering his scaled face and yellow eyes that held no warmth. When he saw Hana, he laughed. It was an ugly sound, harsh and mocking. "A human," he said. "One small human ship against 3 of mine. Are your species truly this stupid, or is this some kind of joke?" Hana's expression did not change. "Release the civilians." The laughed again. "Or what, little mammal? You will write an angry report. You will complain to your council." He leaned forward, showing his teeth. "This is the real galaxy, human. Out here the strong take what they want, and you are not strong." "Release them," Hana repeated. "This is your only warning." The commander found this very funny. His crew laughed with him, filling the channel with harsh, barking sounds. "Warning," he said when he finally stopped laughing. "You are warning me. I have killed 100 ships like yours. I have taken 10,000 slaves. And you, one small female from a species of soft-skinned weaklings, think you can threaten me." Hana smiled. It was not a big smile, just a small curve of her lips, a slight crinkling around her eyes. But the commander's laughter died in his throat. Something in that smile reached past his conscious mind and touched something ancient and instinctive. For just a moment, he felt like prey. He pushed the feeling away. It was ridiculous. His ships were bigger. His weapons were stronger. This human was nothing. "You have 30 seconds to release the hostages and surrender," Hana said pleasantly. "After that, I will not be so polite." "You are insane," they said, but some of the confidence had left his voice. "You cannot possibly defeat 3 warships with 1 patrol vessel." 20 seconds. The commander made a decision. This human was clearly bluffing. She had to be. No sane creature would attack such overwhelming odds. He would destroy her ship, take her crew as slaves, and add another victory to his long list of conquests. All ships opened fire on the human vessel. What happened next was talked about in spacer bars and military academies for decades afterward. The official reports described it as unconventional tactics and creative combat techniques. The unofficial stories were much more interesting. The Soul's Dawn did not fight like any ship they had ever faced. It did not form up for battle or try to match firepower with firepower. Instead, it moved. It danced. It slipped through gaps in the formation that should not have existed, striking weak points that should not have been visible. Hana commanded her ship like it was an extension of her own body. She anticipated enemy moves before they happened. She found weaknesses that they did not know they had. And through it all, she kept talking on the open channel, her voice calm and almost cheerful. "Your port engine is exposed. You might want to fix that." "That was a nice try, but you really should not telegraph your moves so much." "I am giving you another chance to surrender. You should take it." The commander could not understand what was happening. His ships were bigger. His weapons were stronger. But somehow, impossibly, he was losing. The human ship was everywhere at once, never where his weapons were pointing, always striking where his defenses were weakest. One by one, his ships went dark. Not destroyed, but disabled. The human was not trying to kill them. She was taking them apart piece by piece, carefully and deliberately, like a surgeon removing a tumor. 2 hours after the battle began, it was over. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found the Soul's Dawn docked with the Bright Passage. All 47 civilians were safe, including the 12 children. The 3 warships drifted dead in space, their crews alive but completely helpless. Hana was still smiling when she wrote her report. The commander spent the rest of his life in a prison facility. Sometimes, late at night, he would wake up in a cold sweat, remembering the moment when a small human female had smiled at him, and he had felt, for the first time in his life, what it meant to be hunted. He never forgot that smile. Nobody who saw it ever did. The archives were the oldest library in the known galaxy. They had been collecting knowledge since before most species had learned to make fire. Crystal towers stretched toward the sky, each one filled with millions of years of history, science, and wisdom. If something had happened anywhere in the galaxy, the archives knew about it. Kelvara stood at the entrance, his heart beating fast. After his encounter with Ambassador Sung and the strange warning from the Elder, he could not stop thinking about what he had been told. If a human smiles, run. It made no sense. Humans were small and soft. What could possibly make them dangerous? He needed answers. The archivist who greeted him was ancient beyond measure. Her bioluminescent body barely glowed anymore, and she moved slowly, carefully, as if each motion required great effort. But her mind was sharp, and her eyes held the wisdom of countless ages. Young, she pulsed, her lights forming words that his translator converted to speech. You have come to learn about the humans. Yes, Kelvara said. I was told something, a warning. I need to understand what it means. The archivist made a sound that might have been a sigh. Many come here seeking the same answers. Follow me. She led him deep into the crystal halls, past sections that contained the histories of species that had gone extinct before his own people had evolved. Finally, they reached a chamber that hummed with strange energy. The crystals here were darker than the others, and the air felt heavy with old and terrible memories. Humans are a contradiction, the archivist began, activating a holographic display. Images appeared in the air, showing the human, a blue and green planet called Earth. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them constantly. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, ice ages that lasted thousands of years. By all logic, they should have died out long ago. The display showed early humans, small and fragile-looking, hiding in caves while huge predators prowled outside. They have no natural weapons, the archivist continued. No claws, no fangs, no armor, no venom. Their senses are weak compared to most species. They cannot see well in the dark. They cannot hear very far. They cannot smell much at all. Kelvara nodded. This matched what he had learned. Then why is everyone afraid of them? The archivist's lights flickered in a pattern that suggested dark amusement. Watch. The display changed. Now it showed humans hunting, but they were not hunting the way Kelvara expected. They were not hiding and ambushing their prey. They were not using traps or tricks. They were simply following. The prey animal, a large four-legged creature, ran away at high speed. The humans followed at a slow, steady pace. The animal ran again. The humans followed. This continued for hours, days. The animal would run, rest, run again. But every time it stopped to rest, the humans appeared on the horizon, still coming, never stopping. Finally, the animal collapsed from exhaustion. It could not run anymore. The humans walked up to it calmly and made the kill. Humans are pursuit predators, the archivist explained. They do not need to be faster than their prey. They simply never stop. Their bodies are designed for endurance. They can keep moving long after other creatures have given up. When they hunt something, they follow it until it cannot run anymore. Kelvara felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. There was something deeply disturbing about the image of those small, soft creatures walking endlessly across the landscape, never hurrying, never stopping, just following and following until their prey dropped dead from exhaustion. But that is not the worst part, the archivist said. Their bodies are remarkably tough. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. They break bones and keep fighting. They lose limbs and refuse to die. Their wounds heal with surprising speed. The display showed humans surviving terrible injuries, crawling out of disasters, pulling themselves up when they should have stayed down. They also have high tolerance for pain. They can ignore their own bodies screaming at them to stop. They call this willpower. It is terrifying to witness. Kelvara remembered the human ambassador, Sung. He had seemed so calm, so peaceful. It was hard to imagine him as a relentless hunter. But the truly dangerous thing about humans, the archivist said, is not their bodies, it is their minds. The display showed a human face. It was smiling. When most creatures face certain death, they react with fear. They try to run. They try to hide. They submit and hope for mercy. These are logical responses that help species survive. The archivist moved closer to Kelvara. Humans have these instincts too, but they also have something else, something that no other species has developed in quite the same way. When humans are pushed too far, when they face odds that cannot be beaten, when any sensible creature would give up and accept defeat, something changes in them. The display showed humans in impossible situations, humans outnumbered in battle, humans trapped in disasters, humans facing enemies that should have crushed them easily. They stop being afraid, the archivist said. Fear leaves them. It is replaced by something else, something cold, something determined, something that does not care about survival anymore. The humans in the display were all smiling. When a human smiles in the face of certain death, it means they have made a decision. They have accepted that they might die, and they have decided that if they are going to die, they are going to make sure their enemy pays the highest possible price. Kelvara's voice was barely a whisper. They become more dangerous when they are losing. Yes, most creatures become weaker when they are cornered. Humans become stronger. They call it many things: courage, determination, spite, the refusal to go quietly. When a human has nothing left to lose, they become the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The archivist's lights dimmed. That is why we teach the old law, not because we hate humans, not because we think they are evil, but because a smiling human is a human who has decided to be expensive, a human who will make you remember them, no matter what it costs. She turned to face Kelvara directly. If you see a human who is afraid, you can reason with them. You can negotiate. You can find peaceful solutions. But if you see a human who is smiling when they should be terrified, you have already made a terrible mistake. At that point, the only question is how much you will lose before it is over. Kelvara stood in silence for a long time, thinking about everything he had heard. "What should I do?" he finally asked. "How do I deal with humans?" The archivist's lights flickered gently. "Be kind to them," she said simply. "Be fair. Be honest. Treat them with respect. Humans are capable of great friendship and loyalty. They will remember kindness just as easily as they remember cruelty." She paused. "Just never give them a reason to smile at you the wrong way. And if you do, if you see that smile, do not waste time asking questions. Run, as fast as you can, and pray that it is fast enough." Harmony Station was a dream made real. For the first time in galactic history, humans and aliens lived together in one place. 3 million people called it home. 200,000 of them were human. The rest came from dozens of different species who had chosen to take a chance on this strange new experiment. The station orbited a peaceful yellow star, far from the major trade routes and political conflicts. It was supposed to be safe, a place where different species could learn to understand each other, a symbol of hope for the future. The Purification Alliance did not believe in hope. They appeared without warning, 1,000 warships representing 7 different species, united by one simple belief: humans were dangerous and needed to be destroyed. They called themselves the Alliance, but they were really just afraid. The stories about humans had spread through the galaxy. The old law had become common knowledge, and fear had turned to hate. Admiral Ho was eating breakfast when the alarm started. He was 63 years old, with gray hair and a face lined by decades of service. He had fought in 3 wars, buried 2 children, and seen things that would give most people nightmares for life. He had thought his fighting days were over. He had retired to Harmony Station to spend time with his family and watch the sunset from the observation deck. His granddaughter sat across from him, a 6-year-old girl with bright eyes and a curious mind. She looked up from her food when the lights started flashing red. "Grandpa, what is happening?" Ho looked out the window. Ships were appearing in space around the station. Hundreds of them, then thousands. They filled the darkness like angry stars, surrounding Harmony Station from every direction. He looked at his granddaughter and smiled. "Something important," he said calmly. "Grandpa has to go to work now. You stay with Auntie, okay? I will come back for dinner." "Promise. Promise." He kissed her forehead and walked toward the command center, his steps steady and unhurried. The situation was worse than bad. Harmony Station had 12 patrol vessels for defense. The planetary shield could maybe hold for 2 days under heavy attack. Against 1,000 warships, they had no chance at all. Ho studied the tactical display and did some quick math in his head. Even if they fought perfectly, even if they performed miracles, they would still lose. The numbers were simply too uneven. His communications officer looked at him with fear in her eyes. "Admiral, they are demanding our surrender. They say if we give up the humans peacefully, they will let the other species leave." Ho was quiet for a moment. 200,000 humans on the station. Men, women, children. Families who had come here looking for a better life. Friends and neighbors who had learned to live alongside aliens. He thought about his granddaughter, waiting for him to come back for dinner. Then he opened a channel to broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Ho of the Terran Cooperative Defense Force. Harmony Station is under our protection. You have one chance to turn around and leave. I suggest you take it." The Alliance commander appeared on screen. He was a tall, thin creature with 6 arms and cold black eyes. His voice dripped with contempt. "One old human making threats. Against 1,000 ships. Your species is truly insane." Ho smiled. It was a warm smile, grandfatherly almost. But everyone watching felt something shift in the room. The Alliance commander's confident expression flickered for just a moment. "Let me explain something to you," Ho said pleasantly. "Right now I am sending a message to Earth. In about 10 minutes every human in the galaxy will know what is happening here. Every ship, every station, every colony, every single one of my people will know your names, your faces, your home coordinates." "So what? They cannot reach you in time." "No," Ho agreed. "They cannot save us. But here is the thing about humans that you need to understand. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We hold grudges. We write names in stone and pass them down to our children." His smile grew wider. "You might destroy this station. You might kill every human here. But I personally promise you that you will still be paying for it. We will find you, all of you. Every species that participated in this attack. Every commander who gave orders, every soldier who followed them." He leaned forward. "We are pursuit predators, Commander. We never stop hunting. Never. You could run to the edge of the galaxy and we would follow you there. You could hide for 100 years and we would still be looking. We are patient. We are relentless. And we have very, very long memories." The Alliance commander tried to laugh, but the sound came out wrong. "You are bluffing. You cannot possibly." "Am I?" Ho asked softly. "Look at my face. Do I look like I am bluffing?" Silence stretched across the void between the ships. "You have a choice to make," Ho continued. "You can turn around and go home. Tell everyone this was a mistake. We will forget it ever happened. Or you can attack and spend the rest of your existence looking over your shoulder, wondering when the humans will come for you. We have 1,000 ships. And we have forever." The siege lasted 9 hours. The Alliance fleet did not attack. They sat in space, surrounding the station while their commanders argued about what to do. Some wanted to press forward. Others remembered the stories they had heard. The old law echoed in their minds. If a human smiles, run. And the old admiral on the station, had not stopped smiling since the conversation began. Then the human reinforcements started arriving. They should not have been able to get there so fast. The nearest human colony was days away at top speed, but humans started appearing everywhere. Military ships, civilian transports, old warships that had been sitting in museums for decades, cargo vessels with makeshift weapons attached to their hulls. They came from every direction, jumping into the system one after another, filling the space around Harmony Station with steel and determination. They kept coming for hours. Long after the Alliance fleet had started trying to surrender, the human ships kept arriving. It was not enough to win. The humans wanted the Alliance to understand exactly how badly they had miscalculated. When it was finally over, Admiral Ho returned to the observation deck. Was waiting for him, her small face pressed against the window as she watched the human fleet fill the sky. "Grandpa," she said, "you are still smiling." "Am I?" He picked her up and held her close. "I suppose I am." "Did the bad ships go away?" "Yes, little one, they went away." "Will they come back?" Ho looked out at the fleet of human ships, hundreds of them now, all of them carrying people who had dropped everything and raced across the galaxy because other humans were in danger. "No," he said softly, "I do not think they will ever come back." And they never did. 50 years had passed since the siege of Harmony Station. The galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Purification Alliance had fallen apart in shame and disgrace. Its leaders had been tried for crimes against sentient beings. Its members had scattered, their species forever marked by the memory of what they had tried to do. The Galactic Council had reformed completely. Humans were now full members, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with that position. Not because humans had demanded it, not because they had threatened anyone, but because every other species had quietly agreed that having humans as partners was much safer than having them as enemies. Ambassador Kelvara stood in the grand hall of the new council chambers, watching the latest human delegation take their seats. He was old now, his shell silvered with age, his movements slower than they used to be. But his mind was still sharp, and his memories were still clear. He had spent 50 years studying humans, learning their history, understanding their culture. He had seen them at their best and at their worst. He had watched them build and destroy, love and hate, forgive and remember. And he had never forgotten that first encounter with Ambassador Sung all those years ago. The warm smile, the hidden steel, the warning that had changed his life. Sung was long dead now, passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 92. But his granddaughter, Ambassador, now led the human delegation. She was in her early 30s, with her grandfather's sharp eyes and quiet confidence. Watching her work the room, greeting delegates from a dozen species with warmth and professional charm, Kelvara could see the family resemblance clearly. A young diplomat stood beside him, barely past the larval stage, assigned as his assistant for the current council session. The young one watched the humans with obvious curiosity. "The humans seem so ordinary," he whispered to Kelvara. "All those stories cannot possibly be true. They look so normal." Kelvara remembered saying something similar himself 50 years ago, before he had learned the truth. "Watch them carefully," he advised. "Study them, attend every meeting, every negotiation, every social gathering. You will learn things that cannot be taught in schools." "What am I looking for?" Kelvara was quiet for a long moment, thinking about everything he had seen and learned over the decades. "Humans have a word," he said finally. "Han. It does not translate well into our language. It means something like shared sorrow, a collective grief that passes down through generations, an awareness of injustice that burns quietly in the heart." He watched Ambassador as she moved through the crowd, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. They carry their pain together as a species. It makes them capable of great understanding, great compassion, They know what it means to suffer, and they do not wish that suffering on others. That sounds like a good thing, the young said. It is. Humans can be the best friends you will ever have. They are loyal, they are generous. They will stand beside you when everyone else has abandoned you. Kelvara paused. But their hand also makes them remember everything done to them, everything done to those they care about. They forgive sometimes. They are capable of great mercy, but they never ever forget. Ambassador looked their way. For just a moment, her eyes met Kelvara's across the crowded hall. She smiled. It was warm, genuine, friendly. A diplomatic smile, the kind exchanged between colleagues who respect each other. And yet, even after 50 years, even after all his learning and experience, Kelvara still felt that ancient instinct whisper in the back of his mind. The voice of 10,000 generations of ancestors who had survived by trusting their instincts. If a human smiles, run. He did not run. He smiled back, bowed slightly, and felt a strange kind of peace settle over him. The galaxy had changed. Humans and aliens lived together now, worked together, built together. The fear was still there, buried deep, but it was balanced by something else. Respect, understanding, perhaps even friendship. Ambassador approached them, her hand extended in the human gesture of greeting. Ambassador Kelvara, she said, my grandfather spoke of you often. He said you were one of the first to truly try to understand us. I am honored to finally meet you. Kelvara took her hand carefully, mindful of his old joints. Your grandfather was a remarkable man. I learned much from watching him. He learned from you as well. He always said that there were natural diplomats, patient, thoughtful, willing to look beneath the surface. They talked for a while about trivial things, the weather on the station, the upcoming trade negotiations, the latest cultural exchange programs, normal conversation, normal diplomacy, normal interaction between two species that had learned to live together. But when moved on to greet other delegates, the young assistant leaned close to Kelvara. She seemed nice, he said, friendly. I did not feel any danger from her at all. Kelvara watched the human ambassador work her way through the crowd, all warmth and charm and professional grace. That is because she had no reason to be dangerous, he said quietly. We were being polite, respectful. We posed no threat to her or to anyone she cares about. So the old law is wrong. Kelvara thought about this for a long time. The old law is not wrong, he said finally. It is simply incomplete. Humans smile for many reasons: joy, friendship, welcome. Most of the time, a human smile means exactly what you think it means. They are happy to see you. They wish you well. They want to be your friend. He paused. But sometimes, rarely, you will see a different kind of smile. You will know it when you see it. It will look warm on the surface, but there will be something else underneath. Something cold. Something patient. Something that has stopped calculating odds and started calculating costs. How do I tell the difference? Kelvara made a sound that might have been a laugh. That, young one, is the question that has haunted every species in the galaxy for the past century. The truth is, you cannot always tell, not until it is too late. He started walking toward the exit, his assistant following close behind. My advice: treat every human the way you would want to be treated. Be honest, be fair, be kind. Give them no reason to show you the other smile. And if I make a mistake. Kelvara stopped at the doorway and looked back at the grand hall, where representatives of 100 species mingled and talked and negotiated, humans moving among them like any other people. Then run, he said simply. Run as fast as you can and hope that it is fast enough. That night, alone in his quarters, Kelvara recorded one final note for the archives, a personal message for future generations. The old law remains true, he wrote, but I have learned something else in my long life. Humans do not smile only when they are dangerous. They smile when they are happy, when they are kind, when they are welcoming strangers into their lives. The difficulty, the eternal and impossible difficulty, is knowing which smile you are seeing. He paused, thinking about Sung and about Hana and Ho, about all the humans he had known over 50 years. My advice for those who come after me: assume kindness, hope for friendship, build trust, work together. The rewards are worth the risk. He added one final line. But always, always have a backup plan. Then he turned off the recorder and sat in the darkness, an old alien watching the stars spin slowly past his window, thinking about humans and smiles and the strange and wonderful universe they all shared. Outside, somewhere in the vast reaches of space, humans were building and exploring and dreaming of futures that had not yet been imagined. And aliens were watching them, some with fear, some with hope, all with the same ancient question in their hearts. What will they do next? Nobody knew the answer. That was what made it interesting. That was what made it worth finding out.